Here we go.
Why did that sound like it hurt?
I don't know how to do that. Why did that sound like it hurt? It didn't hurt.
That's it started.
Like how's it gonna hurt? How's it gonna hurt?
I don't know. It sounded like it hurt.
Oh boy, here we go. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of The Way Online. Pastor Nick, Pastor Alex here. Thank you so much for whatever platform you're watching on. We really appreciate it. We've been in a series that we've titled This is the Way, all about the Mandalorian the last few weeks. Remember that you and I, we don't fight against flesh and blood, but we fight against the powers and principalities of darkness, right? And so we need the armor of God to clothe us because it's not a physical fight, it's a spiritual fight. And you and I have to be equipped. Last week we talked about the belt of truth and the breastplate of righteousness. Remember that we need truth. That's where everything starts from, is truth. If you don't know the truth, you're going to fall. And we need the righteousness of Christ to cover us, to cover this part of to cover our heart, to cover us, because you and I on our own, we cannot be righteous. It cannot happen. And so this week what we're going to talk about is peace. I don't know if you know this, but the problem in our world today is that we lack peace everywhere. If you turn on the channel, you turn on the news, you turn on the election, this or that, rioting, COVID, there's so many things that are not peaceful, and it's full of anxiety and chaos. And so how do we combat that as Christians? How do we have peace? We live in such a fast-paced world, we often feel so overwhelmed, so we lose our peace. And the pandemic and all this just makes it worse. But here we go. It says in Ephesians 6:15 through 16, and with your feet fitted with the readiness of the gospel of peace. Come on. That's part of the armor of God, is putting on the fresh fit in the gospel of peace. Pastor Alex, break it down.
When we talk about the idea and the concept from the Mandalorian side of things first, we understand, first off, it doesn't necessarily per se talk about the Mandalorian, the guy, that's in the show, the Mandalorian. But we're going to talk about some boots that are actually found in the Star Wars universe as a whole that a lot of bounty hunters and Mandalorians even use. These boots are called Magno Grip boots.
Magno.
Come
on, Nike. Need
Magno
grips.
Grip boots that are that make it possible to stay solid on metal surfaces, right? So no matter where you're at, if you're like, maybe you're on a ship, right, and you're like outside of the ship, like flying through, right, whatever.
You could be on anything, but if you're on a ship,
I'm just saying that's in the Star Wars universe, right? But you're magnetized to the ground so that when something comes your way or whatever, the wind's trying to blow you away, you stay solid and there, stuck on the ship or whatever, wherever you're at, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the concept that Paul's even trying to get to us as well. It's for those reading this in that culture, in that time period, they're understanding the feet fitted with the gospel of peace. They're understanding that as the Roman soldiers' sandals that had these spikes at the bottom. Right? And the purpose of these sandals was that when the Roman soldier, when they're holding up their shield, they're getting ready to defend themselves against an attack or whatever else, they're able to actually have a solid foundation so they can actually make their sandals go deep into the ground, and they're able to actually stand firm and fight against the enemy as the enemy attacks and pushes back on them.
That's so good.
And that's the idea of peace. That's the idea that we receive. This peace is the gospel peace. It's this concept and idea that we are at peace with God. That when you've accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior, you are at peace with God. And second, it's also this idea that Jesus brings peace in any circumstance you're in. He's promised that he will give us peace. Now, he may not calm the actual storm. He may not calm whatever is going on like outside and everything around. But in the midst of the storm, you will receive peace. And this is what his promise is to those who are his disciples, is that peace.
That's so good. And also, so we've been doing 2 pieces of armor every time. So we just did the shoes of peace, and now we're going to talk about the shield of faith. Pastor Alex, break down that shield.
The shield of faith, we can connect that into the Mandalorian universe as the armor that
Armor.
that the Mando puts on all the time, right? The metal that he uses with the armor.
Beskar.
Beskar, right?
I
Beskar,
know
that,
something.
that impenetrable metal that we discussed last week. It is this thing that is able to, that he actually has faith in, right? That he has faith that will withstand any attack. So when he goes out and goes to fight somebody, right? He has faith that the metal will protect him against a gunshot or whatever else. That's the faith he has. In the same way, when Paul talks about the shield of faith, he's talking about this large shield, that what the Roman soldier does is he puts it down in the ground and he stands behind the shield and he trusts that shield will protect him. He trusts, and it's a passive faith. It's not some kind of like, okay, I have to actively be involved in making sure the shield stays together. No, it's trusting the shield to protect him against any kind of onslaught that the enemy might throw.
Yeah.
In the same way as the shield of faith for us is this concept of saying, I believe that God has my best interest in mind.
That's right.
It's this passive faith of believing that God will take care of you no matter the odds, no matter the circumstances. God will take care of you.
That's so good. So let's recap, right? We talked about the shoes on our feet of peace, and we talked about the shield of faith. We receive peace in the knowledge that we are good in God. Remember, everything around us is chaotic. We know that there's peace that comes from God, that He is the only one in this crazy time that can give you and I peace. He is the only one. And number two, we have the shield of faith, just like Pastor Alex said. We trust that shield in front of us will take care of any adversity that comes around us, right? It's having faith that we're going to withstand whatever is coming our way. And that's scary, but we got to put up our shield to keep us protected. Guys, we love you. We miss you. We can't wait to meet together again coming soon. There's an announcement coming up in a few weeks how we're going to get to connect in a little bit. We'll share more of that. It's going to be super exciting. But we want you to have a great week. Know that we're praying for you. We love you guys. Have a great week.